What's up y'all, Talon here, back with another series of ranked battles featuring top teams in the Regulation E format. Today I have a team that's very exciting, very off the beaten path. It was created by Jamie Boyt, a really creative team builder and commentator in more recent years. Claimed he was washed, kind of, burst out and proved that wasn't the case with this really interesting team featuring an extremely bulky Tailwind Breaking Swipe knockoff Roaring Moon, Thundurus Therian form featuring Assault Vest, and lastly but not least, the Ogerpon Teal Mask form with Razor Claw Ivy Cudgel for 50% crits, and then Swords Dance, and just a really cool use of the Pokemon. I believe the highest finish for it to date since it's released in the Teal Mask DLC. It's also got some interesting stuff like a Life Orb Nasty Plot Gholdengo and a Tera Grass Arcanine. Pretty standard overall, but the Urshifu also a little weird. Bulky substitute. It took like 70% from a Skyplate boosted Leak Windstorm from a Tornadus from Bobby Rochelle. So yeah, a lot of bulk on this Urshifu, and I'm really excited to try the team today. Jamie has not released the public paste with all the EV spreads, so I did take the effort to recreate those in game and just kind of figure out what would be some good bulky EV spreads to try and kind of match the miraculous survivals he was having on stream. So if you appreciate the effort that it took to do that, please subscribe to the channel, and with all that being said, let's get into a breakdown of the team. So starting off a little out of order, I'm going to begin with the Roaring Moon just because it does kind of feel like the backbone of the team that allows the rest of the team to run a lot of bulk and not so much speed. The Roaring Moon is running Tailwind to boost the speed, the booster energy boosted speed stat. One of my friends actually played Jamie and they did a Terra Normal Extreme Speed into the Roaring Moon, and they kind of based off that guessed it was actually a very, very defensive bold Roaring Moon just based off the extreme speed damage. And basically the person who told me that they kind of believe it might be a 17 attack Roaring Moon so that they can get away with running very little speed and just pumping the defense stat so that you're tanking physical hits like extreme speed from Dragonite, Ice Spinner from Chien-Pao, etc. To really complement the Breaking Swipe, which additionally just really decreases the damage output of the physical attacking metagame as a whole. Roaring Moon also did get access to the knockoff option, so no longer needing to run the Terra Flying for a meaningful damage option there. And I really do like it. You can go for things like knockoff into Flutter Mane. Even if they go for Terra Fairy, you take a lot of their utility away by taking away the choice specs. If you go Terra Poison, they're really doing middling damage, so you can get a lot of value out of your Roaring Moon. And generally, Poison type, just a very good defensive typing. The Psychic types that would hit you super effectively, you hit for knockoff. The few ground types, you can Breaking Swipe to lower their damage output, intimidate them, etc. And you're not too worried about that as a whole just because of all the bulk that you have. Next up is the Arcanine. I noticed Jamie was leading the Arcanine a lot. It is just a very solid Pokemon to lead next to the Roaring Moon, just immediately getting the Intimidate off. You can switch out into something a little more favorable or go for a Choice Banded Rock Slide, which does incredible damage. Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, just generally strong moves on the Pokemon. And then Terra Blast with Tera Fairy can be exceptionally strong against the Iron Hands that you would really want to lead against more Roaring Moon generally. But even more pressingly, the Terra Dragon Gholdengos that have been popping up, you don't actually have a lot that can hit that for immediate super effective damage really strongly. The Breaking Swipe will do some damage, but if you get intimidated, it's not doing that much. So having the Terra Blast option to be able to knock that out after you force to Terra can be pretty cool. Next, I want to touch on the Gholdengo. As I mentioned, Life Orb Nasty Plot, not an especially common set. Usually we see the leftovers Terra Dragon set in this metagame, but this one is Terra Steel. So what I really like about this is it can really put you into weird binds in Tailwind, where turn 1 you could be threatening Tailwind Make It Rain, Terra Steel, or if your opponent is trying to pivot around that, like switch in their Iron Hands, get a defensive pivot in, you can just go for Nasty Plot, and then essentially just really make them pay for getting a turn incorrectly, and it really opens you up to actually get those uncontested Life Orb Steel Make It Rains off, just because if someone is scared that you're going to Nasty Plot, then they're less likely to switch around and expend their resources in that way. Next we have the Ogerpon, the grassy form, the Teal Mask. Jamie actually said that he kind of, in a car conversation, got the idea to use it. I think someone specifically said, how is your, what was it, Clodsire matchup or something like that? And I'm not sure how Ogerpon answers that especially well, but you know what brought it to the, maybe it was Cloyster? I don't know. Maybe it was Quagsire, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, the Ogerpon did make its way on his team, and it really does make sense here. A lot of the times you're going to want to intimidate the Roaring Moon, bring your own Arcanine, your own Landorus against Roaring Moon and Arcanine to get some Intimidates off, but if you have the Ogerpon to be on the field early or later in the battle to suppress that, and take advantage of it, you're doing really incredible damage at +1 with the Ivy Cudgel, even if you don't get the other mask's 1.2 times damage multiplier. You kind of make up with that in that you're able to run Razor Claw, which gives you a 12.5% chance to crit every Stomping Tantrum and a 50% chance to crit every Ivy Cudgel. So definitely making use of that item to make up a little bit of that damage lost. You also have Swords Dance on this set. I think Jamie said this was the most experimental Pokemon on the team, so I could definitely see Follow Me if you wanted to experiment with that. Taunt, Encore, Helping Hand even. But it is Swords Dance here. After a Swords Dance, you're really doing incredible damage, especially if you get these to the +1. Stomping Tantrum is just generally good coverage into Heatran. It really forces it to Tera. And what I do want to comment on is the Tera Grass Tera type with the Embody Aspect speed boost. That's something that really interested me when we first saw Ogerpon. I think on my tier list, I actually ranked it maybe #1. I'm not exactly sure. I definitely had it in the S tier, whereas the usage definitely hasn't reflected that. But I do think that the end games you can set up with the Tera Grass in the late game, especially if they have Landorus on your team, if you force that out early and they have to bring it in on the Ogerpon later, I think if you're running Adamant, I do believe this one's Jolly. I kind of EV'd Jolly just to cover any Choice Scarf Urshifu, Choice Scarf Jolly Urshifu, which have been popping up. So, but if you are running Adamant, I think the +1 calc on the Ivy Cudgel, if you crit, is a knockout even on Tera Flying Landorus after you've gotten the Defiant boost, which is just insane damage. But yeah, and then Spiky Shield, solid protect option, and yeah, that's all I really have to say about the Ogerpon. I think it does match up really well with the Tailwind on the Roaring Moon, and then yeah, we'll move next to the Thundurus. So Thundurus is cool in that you actually get to run Wild Bolt Storm. We haven't seen a lot of the Thundurus Incarnate form, so the Therian form is taking its slot here. I do like the Volt Absorb, Assault Vest, Tera Flying set. So a lot of the time, like every Pokemon in the metagame that goes for Tera Flying suddenly becomes susceptible to Iron Hands, but Thundurus actually does not have that issue, where you are still taking, you might actually take a fair bit from Heavy Slam, but you can't get Wild Charge, that would heal you off. Drain Punch, you're still resisting, and you're doing a ton of damage with Tera Blast. Thunderbolt is a little more consistent option than Wild Bolt Storm. Wild Bolt is kind of like an option where you either have to go for it, or if you hit it and you get some paralysis, it's kind of just gravy in the position you're in. And then Grass Knot is just really good coverage into Iron Hands. If you have not Terra'd, I believe that's a 120 base power attack, and just generally a good option against some ground types that you would otherwise not really want to go for Tera Blast against, and you obviously can't hit for super effective with your electric type moves. Urshifu is the last member on the team. Jamie has been a special snowflake here and gone for the Splash Plate instead of the Mystic Water, which I've reflected. It's a Tera Water one to basically Tera out of the Fairy weakness and the Flying weakness, which can sometimes actually increase its longevity pretty considerably. This one is running, like, at first glance it looks really standard, and then you see the Substitute, which with all the Amoonguss in the metagame rising up, I do like Substitute a lot. That's generally people's go-to answer to deal with Urshifu, is just play smart with their Amoonguss. But if you can't just freely, like if it's doing something on the field that is not Surging Strikes, you can't Rage Powder. That's not getting a lot of value. Pollen Puff I doubt breaks the Substitute, and then Substitute, yeah, just blocks Spore, so I do like that, excited to try that out. So that will do it for the breakdown of the team. If you want the EVs, they are in the description below in the pokepaste, as well as the rental code in the top right of the video. I've also linked Jamie's the video where he actually explains, basically outlines how he created the team. He does have a YouTube channel himself, so if you enjoy the videos, please subscribe to the channel. And with all that being said, let's get into it. So first of the day, up against Ogerpon Hearthflame form, Iron Hands, Grimmsnarl, Urshifu, Enamorus, and Fluttermane. So we both have kind of weird Therian Pokemon on our team. The lesser of the seen ones, but yeah, okay. I think so. Grimmsnarl is definitely threatening here. Yeah, a lot of threat from the Grimmsnarl. I do think that maybe I want to bring Roaring Moon in the back, truthfully. I feel like I'm threatening a lot with the Roaring Moon with Breaking Swipe. If I can avoid like a Spirit Break or something like that, I kind of want to Intimidate on the field with my Arcanine. That does leave me a little weak to Urshifu, truthfully, so I want to be wary of that. I think if they set up the light screen, my Ogerpon could be pretty strong. I guess Iron Hands is a bit of a concern here. So I think I'm gonna go these guys. I could like see an argument for the Thundurus, but I think it might be a sitting duck against a little bit too much of their Pokemon. Like their Urshifu doesn't knock us out unless they're Mystic Water or Choice Band or something like that, but I'm still like, I am threatening a knockout back, but only if I'm at full HP or have Tailwind up. And they can pretty easily stall my Tailwind, turns out, this battle, I think, just because there's nothing I have that like really forces them to do too much defensively. So it is the Grimmsnarl and the Iron Hands, really defensive lead from them. I could see a lot of things here. I think because I have the Intimidate up. What? That's interesting. Oh man, I messed up the EV spread, so I did actually match the attack. Okay. I can fix that. I will actually upload a new rental code. You won't see a difference in the rental code, but I'll have edited that out. Yeah, that could have been dicey. I'm just gonna Protect Switch though. Get my Gholdengo in, probably go for a nasty plot, Breaking Swipe in a turn or two. Or Breaking Swipe, Make It Rain seems pretty good. We'll see though. Yeah, in this case it's actually probably better to have the attack boost, it's fine, but generally I would not want that to be the case. Yep, there's the Reflect. They're probably going to go for the Light Screen. I doubt they live a Life Orb one, though. I'm tempted to knock them off, truthfully, and I think I might. Can they knock me out? Probably. I think the Tailwind's pretty good, though. They are -1. Yep, there's the Light Screen, so with Intimidate and my Massive Bulk on the Roaring Moon, they shouldn't be able to knock me out. And this is a pretty free yeah, pretty free here. And what's interesting is I can actually go for a knockoff. We'll see. Well, yeah, they don't knock me out. Very nice. So I assume they knock me out here. Oops, let's go for this. I think knockoff Shadow Ball is a pretty cool play here. They're probably expecting, even though I am +2 to survive this hit with the Iron Hand, so I should have a pretty free KO into that slot. Yeah, and we knock off. Doesn't do a lot, but a little more than it would have, and we go for the Life Orb Shadow Ball. With Leftovers, I think this might have a chance to live, but the Life Orb What? Oh, Light Screen. Lamau. Okay. Yeah, glad I set up Tailwind. We do live with the Massive Bulk on the Roaring Moon. They definitely did not expect that. That's really good. Okay. At this point, I do feel pretty confident that a Breaking Swipe Make It Rain should knock out. I don't have to go for Tera Steel, but I could. Should I go for Tera Steel? Do I have any value out of Tera on any of my back Pokemon? Potentially, yes. So I think I will preserve it and risk the Iron Hands living the hit. I really doubt they will. But what's cool is they actually have no way to go for a Prankster breaking, or like a Prankster. Oh yeah, the Breaking Swipe's going to do enough damage for us here, I think. So the attack boost actually comes in handy, but as I said, I will fix that in the rental because it definitely is meant to be the speed boosting Roaring Moon. I'll just give myself a damage resisting berry and then, I don't know, leave the remaining stat nowhere. I don't think I can redistribute the EVs correctly, like because I'm supposed to be 16 IV or something on the Roaring Moon. I'm not sure, but I'll make sure you guys have the speed booster on the rental code. And I'll probably have that for the next battle. Okay, and there is the Urshifu and the Ogerpon. Alright. So they are the water one. How many turns of Tailwind? Only one more, unfortunately. I think I'm happy about the water one. I kind of just want to get a... If they go for Spiky Shield, I want them to knock out my Roaring Moon, actually. I think. So yeah, I'm going to go for a Breaking Swipe Shadow Ball into the Ogerpon, because I should be able to handle the... Okay, yeah, they go right for that, which is fine. They should take a +2 Shadow Ball and Light Screen, but they won't love taking it, and then I'll probably be able to follow up with a Stomping Tantrum to close. Oh, maybe not, actually. That's going to be pretty close. But I think I should be able to E-Speed them for knockout, but I'm not certain about it. They have not committed to Tera yet. Unless they have a defensive Tera on the Urshifu, I should be okay. But honestly, They went for Aqua Jet. I don't think they're Choice Scarf. Yeah, I could go for Tera Fairy on the Arcanine just to guarantee I live the turn. I guess it's questionable, right? E-Speed might knock them out, it might not. I'm actually going to go for the Ivy Cudgel just because I think if they follow me, then I should knock them out. Like, basically they have to make a pretty aggressive read here. I think they have to live the extreme speed on Ogerpon and reflect, which would be, I don't know, kind of dicey, and also be a defensive Tera on the Urshifu, because I do believe this knocks out, especially if I get the 50% crit. They do Spiky Shield, so we'll see how it goes. I guess I could have E-Speed. What if they're Aqua Jet, actually? What if they just go Aqua Jet? Yeah. After that damage, they might actually knock me out. So I might have made a mistake there, truthfully, but we'll see. Oh my goodness, okay. Alrighty then, that's pretty bad. Yeah, I didn't get the crit and I didn't knock out, which is kind of unexpected, but, you know, it is what it is. I do think, what am I going for here? I actually can't go for Protect and get a little spiky chip off. Stomping Tantrum would have to crit. Ivy Cudgel has a higher chance to crit and I think would knock them out. So I'm going to go for that. Yeah, we're definitely just banking on a crit here. Oh, very nice. So shooting 50-50 exactly as expected. And yeah, we do crit through the light screen there. Without the Tera Grass. Oh, uh-oh. Ice Punch. Are you going to freeze me? Oh my god, that's a weird Urshifu, but it looks like we will close it out because we have the speed boost. There's no way they can outspeed, so that should do it. But yeah, really crazy endgame. I think I definitely made a mistake not just going Tera Fairy, because then I should tank that. It looks like I had to crit the Ivy Cudgel anyway, so that's really just me not being super familiar with the damage rolls, but we do end up critting 2 for 3. And we only needed the 1 crit, but yeah, it does ultimately work out for us there. Alright, up against a Trick Room team featuring Cresselia, Ursaluna, Iron Hands, Chien-Pao, Sinistcha, and Lando. So a bit of a fast mode on the Chien-Pao Lando, which I'm fine with. Fortunately, I don't have Taunt on this team. I think Substitute actually isn't great against the Ursa, but that's okay. Alright, I think no Follow Me is a little unfortunate. If I knew the Cresselia Terra type, that'd be nice, but I do not, of course. So I'm going to go, I think, Gholdengo. Lead seems pretty strong. I'm really considering the Urshifu. Like, it seems like it could be strong against some of their stuff. But I think Arcanine's a little safer. Just get some cover fire from my Gholdengo to maybe get a nasty plot up. If they don't lead Cresselia, then I can endgame them with that pretty easily. I can't really damage their Ogerpon. Thundurus could be fine. Grass Knot would actually do probably a lot to them, so I might do that. I think I'm going to do that and then bring as my last the Ogerpon, but I'm not sure. Not really sure how you're supposed to tackle Tailwind Trick Room with this team. I think in general, just because you have so few turns to make a mistake against Trick Room teams, it's a little more beneficial in open team sheet for a more offensive team like this when you don't have Taunt. They go Chien-Pao Lando, so Ogerpon would have been a pretty solid lead, but I'm glad to get my Intimidate on the board nonetheless. It depends on if they have Lash Out. If they're Lash Out Chien-Pao, that could be a little problematic. Otherwise, I have a pretty free Protect. This is one of the instances where being Tera Steel is pretty nice. I want to go... they could Thunderbolt. I think I'm going to go Thundurus here. Like, they could Ice Spinner, but I think Sacred Sword's a little safer. Like, it could be Stomping Tantrum, Sacred Sword, which would actually be... I actually don't want them to Stomping Tantrum into my Thundurus, because then they double up on damage the next turn into my Gholdengo, which I don't have a defensive Tera out of. I'll still be a Steel type. So I'm a little worried about that, but it is what it is. If I wanted to get really aggressive here, I could have gone for Extreme Speed, Tera Steel, make it rain, and go after the Chien-Pao, but again, try not to take too big of a risk on this turn 1 with the Gholdengo, since it could be really important in this battle. They go Sucker, so I did have a nasty plot. And they go Stomping into U-turn, that's totally fine. Because they have to bring in something that's probably not too offensive, truthfully. And I think if they have Lash Out, if they know about the mechanic where you get intimidated on the first turn, you have double Lash Out that turn, which is a good one to know, then they probably would have gone for it, but it doesn't look like they do. I think I'm going to go Tera Steel, make it rain, honestly, and then kind of want to Grass Knot. I could... Should I preserve the Tera? I could. Like, Tera Grass could be pretty valuable for me. And I think I do enough damage so that I don't have to make that play, so... What I actually want to do is, I think, switch into the Arcanine. Well, I don't know. Kind of a hard call. I already went for Protect. Nasty Plot would have been insanely good there. I think I'm actually going to go Make It Rain and Grass Knot this turn. I am losing a lot of HP on the Thundurus, but I don't think they have a really great punish. Because I run so much bulk on my Thundurus here on max HP with a fair amount of defense to live hits from Surging Strikes from Urshifu. I think... I don't know Ursaluna's weight, but I'd assume it's at least 100 off of Grass Knot. They go for Ice Spinner, unless that crits, that should be a knockout at -1. Oh, that's a lot closer than I expected though. Wow, okay. Thundurus not as impressive of a Pokemon defensively as I kind of anticipated. But yeah, the Ursaluna goes pretty low, but very, very luckily we get the Grass Knot to cover that. Otherwise, they would have taken a double KO. I have to assume that's Adamant Chien-Pao, but even still, that damage output was really surprisingly high. Just had a little bit too much faith in the bulky Boyt EV spreads, just kind of had faith. But, I mean, it did end up living. Living with like 20 HP is the same as living with 5 HP effectively, so I think we're good. They didn't go for a Tera, so we can kind of tap the Chien-Pao and knock it out at any point. Be really good if we could knock out the Chien-Pao, then we should be in really good shape with the Ogerpon, I think. They're at -1 on the Chien-Pao, keeping that in mind. If we can lock them to Stomping Tantrum, then we should beat them with... do we have to... Should I switch? Probably. I think they're threatening Stomping Tantrum, which is annoying, but not the end of the world. They probably have Tera Ghost preserved, which is a bit of an issue. I think... Yeah, Yeah, going for my Tera there was probably a mistake, because I really would like to go for a Tera late game with my Ogerpon here. I think I'm actually going to switch the Thundurus and Protect, just because this baits out a Protect from their Chien-Pao or an Ice Spinner, or a... I mean, Sacred Sword will do a good chunk to my Arcanine if they go for that, covering the switch, which I think they probably will. But I think that's fine. They go for U-turn. Fair enough. But they're really... Like, yes, they're switching out, but what are they switching into is the question. Like, Iron Hands would make sense here, but it's probably Cresselia. It's Iron Hands. Okay, they didn't even bring Trick Room, which, you know, is an option. They did Sacred Sword the Gholdengo. Unfortunately, the Tera Steel looking really bad here. Yeah, Tera Ogerpon would have cleaned up, I think. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Make It Rain, switch into Thundurus here. Just eat a hit, basically. Well, I could Protect. That'd be an option. Yeah, Protect forces them to What is it for? It's not a ton. I think I'm going to make it rain switch into the Thundurus. I'm just in a really awkward position. Again, okay, yeah, I'm getting a make it rain off, or I'm not getting knocked out on my Gholdengo this turn, because they have to either fake out or drain punch to get both. But yeah, I'm getting the Arcanine out of here. They have not gone for their Tera yet, which I think is kind of curious. I guess they're trying to dodge the extreme speed threat, which is fair. Oh, but you do fake out that. Yeah, they could have done that anyways. Resetting the Intimidate makes a lot of sense, but I think me getting to reset my Lando, or my Arcanine, is really, really appreciated here. Yeah, it does a ton. Yeah, you do see the value. Like, if I'd gone for Make It Rain earlier in the battle, we'll say a Tera Dragon leftovers Gholdengo, I would have done maybe 40% to the Lando, if that. But now I just did up -1, like 80, and now I have a free knockout with extreme speed into the Landorus slot. And not a lot they can do about that. I'm tempted to switch out the Gholdengo here. Do I lock E-Speed? Or Nasty Plot? I don't think I want to lose a Pokemon here in Gholdengo to a Drain Punch, whether it crits or not. So I'm just going to take the E-Speed into the Lando. That's a guaranteed knockout on that slot. Either Chien-Pao switches in, or Lando gets knocked out. Or, weird third thing, Tera Ghost Landorus, which I wouldn't expect, because I think we have confirmed it's Scarf. But yeah, knocking out the Thundurus fodder was definitely in our favor. But I think I definitely botched this game to some extent, because going for the Tera Steel, although the damage was tempting at the moment that I went for it, they are going for a Tera. Are you Tera Ghost Lando? No, okay, cool. They go for Tera Water, which I don't really follow. I think I was always E-speeding there, and now you just kind of open yourself up on the Chien-Pao slot. And especially on the Iron Hand slot, you are -1, so it's kind of suspect if you can even take the KO here without Chien-Pao on the field. They Drain Punch at -1, not going to knock out. We have non-trivial amount of bulk on this Arcanine, and we are able to tank that. At this point though, I do feel really good about my chances, but how do we lock it up? E-Speed always outspeeds you. Unfortunately, I would have it locked if I could go for Tera, but I don't have that option available to me. I think E-Speed, Ivy Cudgel is my best play. If it doesn't knock out, like with Sword of Ruin, it's going to get pretty close to a knockout. And if it doesn't, then I have a chance to crit. And then it's just a question of can they close the game out with Chien-Pao against Gholdengo. I think Sacred Sword probably knocks me out, but I also think that leaves their Chien-Pao open to a Ivy Cudgel that turn, and we don't knock out hands, as you can see would have knocked out with the crit, and they go for a Wild Charge, which, you know, any HP matters, so I'm not sure why they did that, but it's okay. Maybe expected me to Tera, I forgot that I already did. But yeah, now I go for this, and I believe... Actually, Ice Spinner, does Make It Rain knock out? Surely with Tera Steel it does. With Tera Steel, I'm almost certain that knocks out, so I think I go Ivy Cudgel, Make It Rain, and close it from there. They Ice Spinner into the Ogerpon, which makes sense. I could have gone for Spiky Shield, but I think given how low the Iron Hands is, like if they had gone for Drain Punch, they might have actually won. You know, not to count my chickens before they're hatched, but I do believe this is a knockout. Yeah, and it is. Okay. Yeah, it would have been close if they had gone for Drain Punch that turn instead of Wild Charge, but I think that little bit of chip taken instead of HP healed ultimately sealed it for them, but I think the Tera Steel was a little hasty on the Gholdengo. Given that it all hinged on the damage roll in the Thundurus anyways, and I probably needed to preserve my Ogerpon Tera if I wanted to win if I didn't live on the Thundurus, I think the Tera Steel was a mistake, especially because we saw how much damage that did. I think it was going to be in range of a Grass Knot if it didn't Tera, and even if it did, it would have been pretty close, so yeah. Bit of a mistake there on my part, but ultimately able to close it out. Okay, up against Tyrian, featuring a very defensive team, we have Arcanine, Hisuian Goodra, Sinistra, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, and Fluttermane. So I do see Arcanine could be Will-O-Wisp, Rage Powder on both of the Sinistra and the Amoonguss, Iron Hands, Goodra Shelter, and then the Fluttermane, of course, just probably offensive. Could be Calm Mind, but not so common. Goodra gets 100% walled by Gholdengo, as does Sinistra. Well, I guess that's not necessarily true. They could have Shadow Ball. But I think what I have to worry about is the Fluttermane. The Iron Hands to an extent is a little bit scary, but not that crazy. Yeah, the Fluttermane's the big threat here. Urshifu's pretty low valuable for me here. I actually haven't brought the Urshifu once, unfortunately. SD Ogerpon could have some value. I think I'll actually lead that. That Pokemon with Arcanine, kind of force them to get an Intimidate off, and then Gholdengo in the back seems strong, and then there's some value in Knockoff, Breaking Swipe, Tailwind could be pretty good. For sure. Like Tera Flying is definitely appreciated against their Pokemon. But I think the Dragon typing might be a little better for me defensively. That's questionable. I probably could have used a defensive Fluttermane switch in a little bit more, but ultimately not what I went for. If they're not Booster Speed Flutter, which I'd kind of be surprised if they were on a team like this, then we actually can just snipe the Flutter turn 1 with our Ivy Cudgel Tera. Ooh, and they are Amoonguss Fluttermane. That does seem like a pretty free hit into them. But we'll see. We will see what they go for. It is Booster Speed. Okay. Oh, hold your horses, buddy. It is Booster Speed. Okay. That's annoying for sure. If they want to Icy Wind, they actually just get knocked out, so I'm fine with that. I don't know well enough my damage to say whether I can knock out the Fluttermane, like with certainty if I don't crit. I know a Flamethrower will knock them out. I feel like it will. If I crit, definitely. If I Tera, maybe, maybe not. I don't want to Tera though, because Pollen Puff is like non-negligible damage here. I think I'm actually going to go for Protect Flare Blitz. I think, okay, they protect the Flutter, really fearing what I have on my side going on, which is fair enough. Just trading off protects. Could have gone for a Swords Dance there, but given the damage output they were threatening, I didn't want to risk that. We go for Flare Blitz, unless they're Focus Sash. Yeah, that's a clean knockout if I've ever seen one. So they made a pretty aggressive read there that I would target into the Fluttermane, but I do take like 40% of my HP in exchange for Amoonguss, which I think is not awful. Now I don't have to worry about that anymore, but this is a Goodra coming in, which is totally fine by me, because it's pretty much walled out by my... Yeah, here's what I'm going to do actually. I'm going to Swords Dance and Flare Blitz the Fluttermane. They have to Shadow Ball and knock out my Arcanine this turn. Heavy Slam is definitely a concern, like Shelter, Heavy Slam is definitely a concern from them. I guess maybe I should go Ivy Cudgel, Flare Blitz into the Fluttermane, just maximize the chances that I knock out, but I think given their speed booster I should live the Shadow Ball. Yeah, just barely. Yep, good EV spreads on this team. Boyts are probably better, but mine are definitely working out just fine as well. Although I don't even have that much HP, do I? I don't know. I think I have at least 100 EVs, so definitely guaranteeing that we take that knockout after living the Shadow Ball. But yeah, that is the benefit of running a more defensive, offensive team, basically, is you see these offensive threats that are kind of counting on you having all that power, but it coming at the cost of like all the damage that they can do to you. Or yeah, they expect you to be frail just because you're so offensive, but not the case here. So they had what, Sinistra in the back. I think that's fine. Sinistra, Iron Hands. I mean, I'm pretty well set up here. I don't think there's necessarily any reason to bring out the Gholdengo. I don't want to get forced into my Steel Tera by something. I don't think Iron Hands would. but maybe going for a Breaking Swipe to weaken any damage output that they do have would be appreciated. But yeah, we are activating that. We could knock off something. I don't really think it's necessary. We are +2. I wonder if we knock you out. I'm not sure. I think Tera Poison's actually a lot safer here, so I'm going to protect, just double protect, as they most likely... that's not necessary. Yeah, I could have gone Tera Poison, Breaking Swipe, but I'm not sure the damage is really going to be that impactful. Sticking around shouldn't matter that much. I am giving them a free shelter, but given Iron Hands doesn't... As soon as Iron Hands goes down, I just beat them with Gholdengo. Unless they're Flamethrower Goodra, in which case I think I still probably win. I should be fine. There was a fake out in the Roaring Moon, so glad I protected that. Would have gotten no value that turn. They body press into the Ogerpon. No, into the Roaring Moon. Fair enough, I guess. Let's see. Just confirming, I did change the EV spreads, right? 150. Okay, I did get the speed boost. Very nice. I'm interested to see this damage calc, truthfully. I think it's probably wiser to go for... I think it's certainly wiser to go Tera Poison here, but just for the sake of doing it, I want to see how much this does to Iron Hands. I'm actually hoping it doesn't crit, just so we see. With a crit, I'd be almost certain that it knocks out, but without, I just want to check. Although they could be Tera Fire. That'd be a little scary. A little terrifying, if you will. But yeah, we'll see how much this does. I'm hoping... Would it knock out? That'd be like saying... that's the same as saying a Tera Grass Ivy Cudgel at neutral would 1-hit KO Iron Hands, which I'm kind of skeptical. It would depend on how much defense investment they have. They are going for a Tera here. I'm going to knock off their leftovers, most likely. They're going for a Tera. Grass doesn't change anything. It makes them weaker to make it rain, actually, so I think that's fine. Oh, okay. Alright, well that shows they're not Assault Vest at least, so that's fine. But they definitely showed me up here a little bit. Going for knockoff means no more healing from them unless they go for Life Dew. You're going for Body Press into the Ogerpon, but you are not a Como, that is not a knockout. So they could go for another. At this point I probably shouldn't play around though. So I'm just gonna go Breaking Swipe, Ivy Cudgel. Yeah, they the rare Detect Iron Hands. It might be Fake Out, Detect, surely not. Yeah, you wouldn't be Sword Stance, Drain Punch. You would need both stabs on a set like that, so... Not really sure what they're doing, but I think now they're kind of consigned to have to use a double protect to have any chance in the game. And at which point I'll still be able to go for Breaking Swipes. I actually do outspeed my Roaring Moon. I wonder if Jamie would want that. Oh my god, okay, is that a knockout? That did not get a critical hit. So that's just a straight up knockout on what is probably already a pretty bulky Iron Hands. Definitely happy with that. So we're not doing 0 damage on those, and then they knock us out, but like I said, unless they have Flamethrower, they shouldn't have a way to win this game. Like, they need a crit of Fire Blast would be my guess. There's no leftovers healing, it's really, really not looking good. And that's kind of like, Como also loses a situation like this to Gholdengo, even with Terra Steel, because Iron Head is like doing negligible damage to me. Do I even have to do this? I guess Goodra has a pretty high special defense stat, so I can't count on a knockout here. So I'm just going to go keep going Breaking Swipe. I've already knocked off the item, so I think Breaking Swipe is the same base power. And on the off chance they're like, I don't know, Bulldoze, could be anything. We should just win if we survive this turn with Gholdengo, which we do because we never committed the Tera. And we are seeing that defensive investment come in clutch once again. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, I think Protect is the fastest animation, but Cancel is even faster than that. So the optimal last turn animation for us. They just snap locked in Cancel, but yeah, I do think against defensive teams like this, Terra Dragon, Gholdengo, very good. As long as you can, like Terra Steel and Terra Dragon, any Gholdengo can set up on the Komos and the Gudras so long as you don't use your Terra. So it's really on your opponent to, if they want to drive towards that end game, they have to force your Terra so that they can actually body press it before you just like nasty plot and outset them up. So they didn't do a good job of that. They kind of led pretty passively with the Amoonguss and then the non-choice specs Flutter Mane. Maybe if they had been specs Power Gem, they could have threatened me with a knockout on the Arcanine. And then that battle swings a different way. But I also do just get to bring in my Ogerpon at that point. Like if I know they're not booster energy speed, then I just go Tera Grass and knock them out. So yeah, definitely a difficult matchup for them, but I think that is just a testament to the construction of Jamie, is that it's just a very aggressive team with a lot of offensive options that's difficult to react to on the opponent's side, especially if you don't know what's coming. Alright, really offensive team from my opponent. They have Regieleki, Chi-Yu, Landorus, Ogerpon, Tornadus, and Flutter Mane. A lot of offensive threats there, for sure. I like Roaring Moon as a lead. I think even though they can set up Tailwind first, they don't really have anything that can knock out the Roaring Moon other than Flutter Mane. And I can just Terra out of that. Terra Steel looks mighty fine if they don't lead Chi-Yu, but I will practice some self-control and assume that they will. I think Arcanine, Roaring Moon is actually quite strong here. Ogerpon could be good. If I get a Swords Dance up or something, I would just beat their entire team, I think. Urshifu, unfortunately no Aqua Jet. This is one of the matchups where I think that would be quite strong. But, is it a good switch into anything? Not really. Electric moves. Heat Waves, definitely. I think Gholdengo is not a bring here. Too many fire types. So I guess it's between these three. I think I like the Ogerpon Teal Mask. If I save my Terra, I probably won't though. Yeah, I'm unlikely to save my Terra for the late game. But I think it might not matter. I think the speed could be enough. And then I would think I want to go... I went Thundurus, but I could see Urshifu. I could see an argument for Urshifu just because of the Chi-Yu. But if they lead Chi-Yu, they're really weak to the Arcanine, so that's fine. One thing to note, if you ever see double fire type on a Tailwind team, or even a couple Photosynthesis mons, you can kind of like sniff out that it's going to be Sunny Day as one of the move slots on the Torn, which leaves Tailwind, Bleak Wind, and usually you're going to have Taunt or Protect. So we can play off of that. It is the Lando plus the Regieleki, fair enough. That's fine. I feel like this is a fairly safe Thundurus Spring, right? Like I'm gonna tank whatever hit this is. I could go for knockoff, but I do think Tailwind switch to Thundurus is quite strong. Did I bring it? Yeah, I didn't bring Urshifu. Their eject pack. Okay. That's quite interesting. This would be good Flutter Mane, but yeah, no item on that. So I can't knock it off, notably. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, that's a good way to scout the lead, but only if I leave my Intimidate. Okay. I mean, I don't threaten a knockout with E-Speed on their Regieleki, unfortunately. Okay, this is totally fine by me. This is a free Tailwind plus Rock Slide, and I hardly have to think about it. Terra Electric would probably knock out my Arcanine. I guess I should maybe have considered switching out the Arcanine into Thundurus. The immediate damage was definitely appealing, but given they don't actually have a lot of offense on their side, outside of the Regieleki, and I am getting hit like non-zero by this Lando, and the Intimidate's starting to get annoying, but I should just be able to go for Breaking Swipes. I definitely don't have an issue knocking out their... Yeah, good damage into the Regieleki, and we actually do outspeed them, which means they're not max speed Regieleki. Very interesting. I think I'm fine to go for Breaking Swipe. Switch to Thundurus here. They can Stomping Tantrum my Arcanine. Obviously not going to work. I think... let's see, would you be Stomping Tantrum, Rock Slide, Earthquake? Or Stomping Tantrum, Rock Slide, Terra Blast, Protect on a set like this, I would expect, so they probably don't have U-Turn. It could go Rock Slide, that would make sense, but yeah, definitely appreciate the flinch there. This is something I heard Chup Across talking about on the Tub Takes podcast. Check that out. CK49 is where they record and upload those, so check those out. Yeah, he won the regional that this team actually got fourth at. But yeah, he was saying that Choice Band Arcanine on Tailwind is just so good for a couple of reasons, but the main one is like the momentum you lose by getting hit by such a strong Rock Slide is really massive compared to when you're... Ooh, they go for Stomp into the wrong one. Very good. But yeah, it just feels like a massive momentum loss when you get hit by Rock Slide and get flinched in Tailwind, just because Rock Slide's doing way more damage than, say, a Choice Scarf Landorus is doing. I think I actually like Breaking Swipe. Grass Knot, I think. They're not really threatening me. Do they have a good switch in here? Chi would be something, I guess. Yeah, Chi would be kind of threatening. I could Terra Blast, but I think if they go Chi-Yu, then I could knock that off and really limit their damage output. And it also, even out -1, doesn't love taking a Breaking Swipe and another hit like that. Okay, they go Thundurus, but they're going to take a Grass Knot. I doubt that knocks out, but it's going to do a fair bit and again put the Landorus to -2 attack. Yeah, doesn't do a lot, but still does damage. Oh, U-turn does absolutely nothing though. Really happy about that damage. And that's the issue with Roaring Moon. Like, if you pump enough defensive EVs into it, it's actually quite bulky. I mean, it just does have a base 600. Or is it that? It might be like 590. Chi-Yu finally comes in, which is okay by me. One turn of Tailwind left, but that's fine. I've chipped everything really low. I think I'm at a point where just knock off Thunderbolt is pretty safe. I don't have to go Wild Bolt Storm, even though it will be the best play in terms of damage output. Like, the thing about having Wild Bolt Storm on the set is it's really tempting, but you just have to know when and when not to click it, and I think this is one of those times where it's not necessary. Like, would it put me up massively damage-wise on the Chi-Yu to the point where I can knock it out with E-Speed? Yes, it would. But they went for Heat Wave and they missed the Thundurus. And like I said, the Roaring Moon, ton of bulk, knocked out the specs. Really incredible utility here. And we take that knockout and... yeah, we are threatening E-Speed knockout into the Lando now. So I'm feeling pretty good about this one. We still have preserved our Tailwind. I guess if we don't have... obviously with Tailwind up, they'll always outspeed my Ogerpon after I go for the Tera. My only question is... okay, they went for Regieleki, which I think is kind of a mistake because unless you're Tera Ice, you don't have the damage to knock out my Thundurus, and even if you do, I feel like you don't have the damage, so... yeah, I think I'm going to go for... let's think. Definitely Tailwind on Roaring Moon. Do I get any value out of a switch into Ogerpon? No, that's just free Heat Wave. They could, like, Electro Web or something. I'm not sure what they're going for, truthfully. I'm going to go Tailwind plus... I think the chip is good on either, so I'm going to go Wild Bolt Storm. No, that's not true. I think I would really appreciate hitting the Chi-Yu here, so that's what I'm going to go after. But they might be going for a Tera Ice here. No, they're not. So Tera Dark Pulse will definitely do a lot of damage, but yeah. Still neutral to Thunderbolt and ultimately in range of extreme speed, so that's what we need. Thunderbolt does a fair chunk with Life Orb and Beads of Ruin, but they look like they're walled by my Thundurus. Oh my goodness. Even with the critical hit does net a knockout, so we're doing very well here, I think. Yeah, and they don't flinch us either, so we're looking really good. At this point, they should... they probably outspeed my Roaring Moon, honestly. So what am I going for here? They have 2 turns of Tailwind left. I think I benefit massively from going Protect, Tera Blast is an option I could go for. Yeah, I think I just stall out their Tailwind, and I should win. I think it's kind of moot what I do with Thundurus because they'll likely Dark Pulse me anyways. Now I kind of just bring in my my Ogerpon and I should win. Because Tailwind will end for them in 1 turn after I Spiky Shield. The Chi-Yu is Choice Specs. It's not Choice Specs anymore, so it can change moves, but it likely does not have Protect. So I can bring in the Ogerpon. They can't switch in the Landorus anymore because it'll really seal the game for them. And I should have a pretty safe late game of locking into... Yeah, we'll knock off you just because I think we're fine. Yeah, I'm at the point where I want to lose the Roaring Moon. It's stuck on the field. Set up Tailwind twice. Limited their damage output immensely. And we were actually faster than Regieleki, so now their damage output is even more lessened. They Thunderbolt, they do take us out, very nice, and now Tailwind will end for them, and we should clean up with Extreme Speed plus Tera Grass Ivy Cudgel. And that's what I was talking about, is, yeah, if you're able to preserve the Tera on this team, like, and push Landorus to the back when you bring out Ogerpon, it just becomes so difficult for them to come back. Because I don't even have to go for the Tera this turn. I can just go E-Speed. Do I have to lock E-Speed? I have Flare Blitz for sure. E-Speed's definitely knockout into Regieleki though. I don't really have to worry. It's not an especially bulky Pokemon. But before I'm hyping myself up too much, let me guarantee... Yeah, okay. Tailwind's off the field sometimes. You mess up field conditions a couple times in tournament and it kind of just like gets burned into your mind. On the decisive turn of the battle, take a second, game's not definitively over yet, just like guarantee you win the game by checking the field conditions. So they are switching in here, trying to live the Extreme Speed on the Regieleki most likely, but that's fine. I should have it locked. E-Speed, yeah, they're Life Orb, so unlikely that they have insane amounts of bulk. Even though they were pretty slow on the Regieleki, like they could have been outspeeding my Roaring Moon. Just because of all the, like they were hitting pretty hard, they're probably modest. And even if you are running like max defense on Regieleki, I'd be kind of surprised if you can live that essentially neutral Extreme Speed from Arcanine at like 30% HP. But we didn't actually have to lock in the Tera here. Just to save y'all a bit of time, what EVs did I train this for? I trained it to be exactly 1 base point faster than Chi-Yu, and they aren't Choice Scarf. We know this because we knocked off their item. Yeah, and they don't live the E-Speed anyway, so we actually win that without tearing, but you can imagine if they had pivoted around a little more effectively around my Pokemon, having the option to go for a Tera against maybe their Regieleki or just their back Pokemon would have been really appreciated. But that was also just an instance where, yeah, they could switch in Extreme Speed, or they could switch in Lando, and maybe if I had like another Pokemon on the field, they would have been able to outstall. Basically, maybe not tank the hit on the Extreme Speed, but tank the hit on the other Pokemon. Because I have Ogerpon on the field, there's just no way, because of Defiant. So Vault here, we're playing against a Dondozo Tatsugiri strategy player. They have Tatsugiri, Iron Hands, Chi-Yu, Fluttermane, the Glamora, and the Dondozo. So yeah, pretty standard fare for this sort of team. They kind of get messed up by Ogerpon to an extent. I think Roaring Moon actually really crushes these type of teams. Or it has the potential to. Let's see. I am 168 speed, so if I go for the Tera, I will outspeed the Chi-Yu after that. Fortunately, Icy Wind will work on me though. I think I'm gonna go with these guys in the lead. Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting calls here, for sure. I think Ogerpon, if I force a Tera out early, beats the Dondozo 1v1 with Ivy Cudgel crits. And maybe Thundurus in the back could be something to handle the Iron Hands wild charges, but I'm not sure. Substitute could be cool. Speed Booster Flutter is just kind of an issue for this team. I think, who am I going to lock into? I think I'm going to lock into the Urshifu, weirdly enough. Yeah, it's kind of debatable, but I think Urshifu has an argument here. It just depends on the Tera type on the Dondozo. Usually they are a type that resists the Grass type. Like, it's kind of inconsequential if they're Tera Dragon or not, but okay. Chi-Yu, Flutter versus, okay, Chi-Yu, or Arcanine Roaring Moon, which is fine. I might commit to my Tera Poison here, right off the bat. They are faster on their Flutter Mane, obviously. The question really is how they could Moonblast me. Do I want to commit my Tera this early? I think probably, yeah. I could Tailwind. I think Tailwind's better here. I should still outspeed their Chi-Yu after the, what am I, 125 speed down to, oh, if they're max speed, they might outspeed me with Icy Wind, honestly. Okay, going right into, what is that? Tatsugiri, okay. That's fine by me. I'm going to start Breaking Swiping it right off the bat. Yeah, they do waste my Tera there, so definitely got. But I can do a lot of damage with, not a lot of damage, but I can do some damage with Rock Slide here. The issue is that Tera Fairy Arcanine is actually not bad against Dondozo, but the Tera Rock, or just the Rock Fire one is generally pretty weak. I can knock them off to take off leftovers, and I'm probably going to do that in a turn. I guess if they're Tera Dragon, they are quite weak to a couple things, right? I'm not sure. We'll see. I did go for the Tailwind, fine by me, and I think I'll go right into the... We'll see if we hit Rock Slide. Would be appreciated if we do, but not the end of the world if not. Yeah, good little chunk, mitigating their leftovers healing just a bit. I kind of want to switch into my Ogerpon here. Without the Tera, it's going to be pretty useless against Flutter and Gang in the back, I think. Was that true? The Chi-Yu could be pretty annoying, actually. I might be able to get a sub up against that, though. I think I go Ogerpon, Breaking Swipe here. They probably don't go for the Tera yet, but they might go Earthquake, which I'd like to have a resistance against. But it definitely becomes a question of how I can manage this Dondozo before it manages me. So Breaking Swipe is probably doing about as much as the leftovers hit, which is fine. They go EQ, totally fine by me. See how much that's doing. It's actually 2 at KOing the Roaring Moon, which is an issue. Yeah, they are healing it up. Okay, big question now. I think I just go Breaking Swipe. I don't think I Swords Dance ever. I don't think Order Up is a knockout, so that's fine by me. I could Swords Dance here, but that's, like, they're most likely not Oblivious Dondozo. If they are, then Swords Dance would be excellent, but I haven't been able to register that, I think. They're going for a Tera of their own, though. I wonder what that is. Yep, gonna be the Tera Dragon, which, interesting. You are weakening yourself considerably to the Breaking Swipes, where now I'm actually doing a chunk of damage, but you are doing more with the Order Up. We have them at neutral at this moment. They'll probably get back up in a second, unfortunately. Ivy Cudgel, hopefully it crits. Definitely not on that one, but that's okay. Ooh, substitute. That's interesting. Alright. So probably sub order up or something like that. Yep, fair enough. Probably gonna go for a protect here if I had to guess, so I want to get my Urshifu in actually. Just get consistent crits on the board. And then go Breaking Swipe again. Earthquake now won't be a knockout. But yeah, I did get in some pretty big trouble by not going by Terraing turn 1. Because they'll probably have a good chance to sweep me late game. See if this breaks subs, I kind of doubt it. Yeah, it doesn't. That's pretty bad. What are we going to do about that? They ordered up into the Roaring Moon, which does not knock out, thankfully. They're probably going to go Earthquake or something. Yeah, maybe I should have preserved the Urshifu's ability to... Huh, okay. I think I just go Tailwind, Surging Strikes here. Obviously don't go for Breaking Swipe. I think I benefit from the Tailwind a fair bit. But having the... I need to remind myself, what does more? Non-super effective Breaking Swipe, or non-super effective Surging Strike, or... Pardon the clicks. We'll see how much that does. I think Surging Strike still does more than Close Combat. Oh god, we're really not doing a lot. We're doing less than 25%. Oh yeah, that's really bad damage, but that, you know, it is what it is. They go for the Earthquake here. They're still at -1, or they're +1 on that guy, which is fine. I guess there was an argument for going Protect Surging Strikes that turn so I could get another Breaking Swipe. And maybe I should have gone there, but I think Tailwind makes some sense too. Thankfully we can break through their Protects at this point. That's really all we have in our favor, but yeah, Close Combat does how much to them? Less than Surging Strikes does with a Splash Plate on. So, now the question is, do I want to fish for some more crits? Probably. Yeah, probably. Do I want to do that? I'm not sure. And maybe fish for flinches? I'm not really sure. I think crits is probably a little bit better. Stomping Tantrum is doing less than the Ivy Cudgel, so I think, yeah, I just go Surging Strikes. Ivy Cudgel. I do maybe have enough turns of Trick Room to make it happen, but probably not. The issue is I don't think I have enough attack to knock out the Tatsugiri, at which point the Flutter Mane comes in and I can't do a lot about it. So we Ivy Cudgel into the Dondozo, critting 0 for 2 unfortunately. I think if we had got that, we might have gotten it in range of knocking out in the next one. Now it's kind of close, and truthfully not in my favor. We'll see if they order up. They do. I don't think that's a knockout into Ogerpon. It's definitely not into Urshifu. I have enough bulk to live that. Yeah, pretty handily. Let's think though. I can't go for something like an Extreme Speed Ivy Cudgel setup into the Tatsu, unfortunately. I don't think that's a clean knockout. If we knock their Dondozo out this turn, we could win, but the issue is I think they pretty safely just Protect, actually. That'd be a pretty smart play for them to stall out the Tailwind. Because although I can't knock them out, maybe I should have gone sub Ivy Cudgel here. Like if I were playing in tournament, I probably would. And does this crit? It does. Okay, so I probably should have gone Close Combat there. I don't think it's a knockout anyways, and we knock it out. But yeah, look at how much damage that did. If we had been critting those earlier in the battle, we would have been in way better shape. But yeah, we're Surging Striking. That should put it in range of Close Combat. we're doing 1/4 of the damage. Close combat might have knocked out. That kind of suggests to me a choice Scarf. But yeah, I think they made a pretty massive misplay that turn by not protecting. Because although I can crit through you, I can't, although I can hit you with the Urshifu, Ogerpon can't, and I don't get anything from Swords Dance because I always hit, because you always stall out the Tailwind and just outspeed me with Water Main anyways. But yeah, now we have one last turn of Tailwind. How fast is this? I feel like Surging Strike's a knockout into their Flutter, and Ivy Cudgel should knock out the... Am I fast enough to outspeed Tatsugiri? I do believe so. Yeah, I am. So maybe I should actually go for close combat Ivy Cudgel, but I think it's way smarter to go after the knockout in the Flutter Mane. I think this knocks out. I actually don't have a lot of attack investment onto the Urshifu, but you need to be very, very bulky to live this attack. And it could be that, but then I think have, they're not nearly bulky enough though. Yeah, like I said, you can run bulky enough on Flutter Mane to both have the speed boost and survive things like Heavy Slam at -1, and if you worked really hard, you could probably live the Mystic Water Surging Strike. You could definitely live the Scarf one. Mystic Water might actually be a little dicey. I am adamant, very little attack, but just enough it looked like. So yeah, that did look a little difficult, especially in best of 1, but we're able to take down the Dondozo. I think they made a misplay, but we were rolling a little unlucky on the Ivy Cudgels on the whole early in the game, and that, put us on the back foot. Because if we had crit the earlier Ivy Cudgel, then the Surging Strikes would have put them in range, and they couldn't have gone for that Tailwind play, so we would have had a lock anyways. But yep, at this point they're probably choice specs. I guess the only way they can win is if they're choice Scarf, in which case if you hit a Heat Wave, can you beat me? Snarl, could you win with Snarl? I don't think so. Yeah, I think I just go Stomping Tantrum, Spiky Shield. See what they go for. I doubt it's Scarf, but you never know. It's probably locking into a... Yeah, Dark Pulse makes sense. Dark Pulse makes sense. I think unless they are choice Scarf... Well, let's go through the possibilities. Say they're Focus Sash, then E-Speed, Stomping Tantrum knocks them out. I outspeed with Ogerpon. Say they're choice specs, then then this play works anyways because I outspeed them. If they're choice Scarf, then they can Dark Pulse me, but then they'd have to knock me out with Dark Pulse the next turn because they can't flinch me. So yeah, this feels good. I guess their win condition is Focus Band or Bright Powder. In which case, can Ivy Cudgel miss? I do not know. I'm not sure if it's an 100, like a non-accuracy check, but that is a 2 at KO. I think what was important was burning their Tera early in the battle. We did have a solid lead in that we had to force a double switch and them to lose their booster energy. Our Urshifu does not outspeed Flutter Mane and Tailwind, so that was actually more important than they might even know. But yeah, the ability to crit through the Dondozo boost ended up being the saving grace for this team, even though I kind of mismanaged my Tera on the first turn. I mean, not mismanaged, they just made a solid read there. But yeah, looking back, I don't think I would do the lead differently. I think what I might do is know the calculation on the Arcanine to know if I tank a Dark Pulse or not. I would expect no, but it's also probably notable. I was also quite scared that they would Icy Wind my Roaring Moon. I would underspeed the Chi-Yu because it's a timid one, and then they knock out the Arcanine. That'd be pretty bad, but given they don't know how bulky my EVs are, and yeah, they're probably more scared of just getting double knocked out by Tailwind Rock Slide than I am of getting Dark Pulse, so yeah. But yeah, so that will do it for our battles today, featuring Jamie Boyt's top 4 at Toronto, Teal Mask Ogerpon and Thundurus Therian form, and Hyper Bulky Roaring Moon team. It was a really cool team. I had a lot of fun using it, and I think it was quite strong on the ladder, ultimately going 5-0 and elevating us from the Great Ball tier all the way up to Master Ball tier, undefeated. Overall, I think this team has a lot of really excellent offensive options that gives you the basically gives you the room to press the advantage against your opponent and force them to react to you, which gives you ultimately a lot of chances to make some pretty aggressive reads to sweep the game from under their feet. I can definitely see why Jamie was able to take it to first place. I'm a big fan of Ogerpon Teal Mask form, and I'm hoping it picks up a little more steam. I think a lot of the time Jamie's teams are kind of isolated to him, but this is one of those times where maybe not the Landorus-T, I think that might be a little off the wall, but the Roaring Moon and the Ogerpon I think are definitely potent additions to the metagame, and I would like to see more of those. So if you want to use the team for yourself, I have the rental code in the top right, or the pokepaste Pokemon Showdown export with all the EV spreads in the description below, along with Jamie's YouTube video explaining how he composed the team and some advice on if you want to train the team yourself. He went into a little bit more in depth than I did, so yeah, if you want to iterate on the team, check that out. If you enjoyed the battles, please subscribe to the channel, and with all that being said, peace y'all.